People frequently ask me what I do for fishing fun when I don't have a television camera anywhere nearby. I go crappie fishing every time. I love to catch them. Well, this week, I'm gonna get to do something fun and shoot a little video at the same time, doing something truly unique, a great new way to catch crappie at a place I've never seen before. Glad you're along with us. Let's Fish TV is on the air right now. That is a fish. Oh man, look at this.
It's time for the only program that brings you real-time fishing reports from the Southeast region every week.
Oh my gosh. Oh, look at that. Woo!
This is Let's Fish.
Hey everybody, welcome into this week's episode of Let's Fish. Have you ever heard of sight fishing for crappie? That's what we're going to do in the next half hour using some very unique gear. You might not have ever seen anything exactly like this before. To help us demonstrate this, I'd like to welcome you in for my first trip ever, right out there to Dirks Lake, Arkansas. We are located in the southwestern part of the state. Dirks Lake is one of a chain of 3 or 4 different lakes here, and they've all got big old crappie in them. We hope to show you some coming up in the next few minutes. To help us do that, I've brought the Caymas CX21 with me to Arkansas. It's fully loaded with all the top-end components, lots of deck fishing space, just everything you could ever want in a top-of-the-line bass boat in the Caymas CX21. I've got my Mercury Pro XS 250 4-stroke hanging off the back. While we're out catching these crappie, we're going to be taking you around your local region for this week's fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters from lakes, rivers, and bays right near you. They'll give you the saltwater, freshwater fishing forecast for this coming weekend. Right now, we're going to take this Caymas CX21, ease out to the river channel, start doing a little crappie fishing. Maybe you've never seen catching them like we're going to catch them coming up. Right now, let's get it all started back at the studio and your weekend planner.
Hey everybody, and glad you're with us. The cylinder tables are indicating good game fish activity for both days this weekend. Peak daytime hours begin at 1:35 Saturday and 2:20 on Sunday afternoon. The best nighttime fishing will begin after 1:20 Saturday and 2 o'clock Sunday night. The sun will rise at 6:47 and set at 8:07, and evenings will have a moon that is only 6% visible. Make sure to stick around. We've got fishing reports from across the area on the other side. Plus, I'll return with Bassmaster Elite Angler Todd Otten to answer this week's Ask the Pro question. Stay with us.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Mercury. Go boldly. Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder. Lose, feel the difference. And by Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Get our free fishing guide at orangebeach.com.
All right, there's one to get it started. And there is my very first Dirks Lake crappie. And he got it. That is so cool. All right, there's one to get it started. Good crappie. There we go. There's a start. We've made it, everybody. And there is my very first Dirks Lake crappie. Caught him on a little Slab Hunter by Bobby Garland. There you go. Welcome out on the lake. This is just a beautiful place. Southwestern Arkansas has got all these lakes. Let me get you set up on this, but the first thing I'm going to do is show you that, and I'm going to stick this one in the live well there, getting kept today. Hang on. First one. Okay, well, let me get you set up on where we are and what we're doing here. Dirks Lake is one of a chain of 3 lakes here in this part of the state of Arkansas. Gillum, DeQueen are the other 2. They're all about the same size. They're about 1,200 surface acres, but they got a lot of shoreline because, as you can see on the map I'm showing you here, they've got arms that run off, fingers that run off everywhere. So there's really a lot of fishing water here. They're all fairly clear lakes, fairly deep, and they've got bass, crappie, catfish, all your normal freshwater species for this part of the state. They're flood control lakes. They're controlled by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, but they are loaded with really good-sized crappie, and lots of them. They don't get a lot of pressure because they're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Now, in addition to these 3 lakes, you've also got Greason, which is an incredible crappie and bass fishing lake, a little bit further to the east from here. And then south of here, you've got Millwood. And all these lakes have kind of their own characteristics. But Dirk's Lake here, my first time here, but as you can see, it's just a beautiful lake with rolling hills and mountains around it. And that's my very first crappie. So we're going to talk about a particular way we're going to catch crappie today. I've got my Lowrance LiveSight unit cranked up here, and we're actually sight fishing these crappie, and I'll explain what they're doing and why. But that gets you started. We're off to a good start. Got the first crappie in the live well.
Hey folks, it's time for your Carolinas Report. This week brought to you by Crazy Sister Marina, located on the Marsh Walk in Merle's Inlet. We are running on modified hours right now. The best thing to do is visit crazysistermarina.com right now to find out more information about what we're offering, what times we're open. But as soon as this is all over, it's going to be back to normal, and the fishing is going to be incredible, and we'll take care of all your needs on the water. But let's talk about saltwater here in the Carolinas right now, and something that's going on between North Carolina and South Carolina right now. Along the beaches, the nearshore reefs, is the Atlantic bonito bite. We're talking about the good ones to eat. We're talking about great flavored fish, almost as good as a yellowfin tuna, and we're talking well within your reach. I don't care whether you've got a big boat, small boat, it doesn't matter. Get out with a #1 planer. And here's the thing, you know, you're going to catch Spanish mackerel mixed in right now. The charter captains that are still able to run charters here are having great luck, and they've lengthened those leaders out to 15 to 20 feet long, keeping that bait away from the planer. Troll about 4 to 5 knots. Get out. You're going to catch a lot of great eats right now, whether you're in North Carolina or South Carolina. Y'all stay safe. We love you. This has been your Carolinas Report, brought to you by Crazy Sister Marina. Remember, fish smarter, not harder, and keep your chaos organized.
I'm watching these fish on my screen, and I got one. I got that fish. Good Lord, I saw that fish. Good one, good one. Don't jump. You don't jump. You don't jump unless you jump in my net. And I mentioned to you that we were sight fishing today for crappie. Now that, you may say that just doesn't sound right. And I don't mean up in shallow water sight fishing like looking for them on beds spawning. By the way, we're going to keep a few crappie today, so that one's going in the live well. I'm going to put him in here just for a moment. What I'm talking about is my electronics. I've got a piece of gear. It's made by Lowrance. It's called a LiveSight transducer, and I'll pick up my trolling motor and show you what it looks like. I've got it actually mounted to the shaft of my foot control trolling motor, my Motorguide Tour Pro. And I'm using my foot pedal to sweep and scan left and right in front of the boat. It sends out a radar, a beam signal, a sonar signal horizontally in the water column, bounces back, and you can actually see what's around you. I've got it set on 40 feet, so I'm scanning 40 feet in all directions. And then when I actually see a fish, I can pitch to it, let that jig drop down on it, and actually catch fish that I'm seeing. And I'll show you a quick shot of what a little group of fish looks like, and we'll highlight them here. And then I can watch my jig go down through that school of fish, and many times I can actually see the fish bite my lure, which is exactly what I saw then. So that's what we're doing. We're sight fishing crappie today. We'll talk more about that, but we've got a pattern going, got a few fish in the boat, and this one goes in the live well. There we go. Arkansas crappie, baby. Nice one. How about that big one? The fish is behind me. I passed over that fish. I bet you I get him to bite. Got him. Good one. Good one. That's a big old crappie. There we go. Wow, welcome back everybody. We're still catching these crappie. Arkansas crappie, baby. Nice one. How about that big one? Well, let me tell you, we are doing this sight fishing today. Looking at them on my graph as we showed you, watching the fish. I literally saw that fish in a there were 3 fish together, and I saw him peel away from the other 2, come over to my lure, and then I felt the bite. That is just so very cool. And I will tell you this style of fishing is not for everybody. It is very technical. It requires some skill. It requires getting used to these electronics. It requires some specialized gear. You know, there are lots of ways you can catch crappie. You don't have to catch them this way. There's all kinds of long lining, spider rigging, vertical jigging in brush, dabbling in shallow brush, slip bobber with a jig. You can just use a cane pole and a minnow and catch a crappie. They're just prolific in rivers and lakes and reservoirs all across the southeast and southwest region. They're one of the most plentiful fish there are, and there are a myriad of ways to catch them. I just thought it would be cool to show you this way because it's something that's not done very much. It's becoming more popular as people are discovering these electronics and what they're capable of. You can catch them this way, but this way is not for everybody, and it does require some specialized gear and a lot of practice and a lot of looking at that graph and learning what you're looking at. But it can pay off with some of the biggest crappie in the lake because they don't see a lot of the lures that those crappie up next to the bank see.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's Tennessee, Mississippi, and Alabama Fishing Report. I am proud to bring you this report by TH Marine. You've heard me say this time and time again, and I say it because I mean it. TH Marine makes incredible products that go on your boat. LEDs, they've got boating products. Check them out at thmarine.com. Man, it is just wide open right now. It is wide open. The fish are biting, the weather's getting right. Here's what I want you to know. If I'm going to Mississippi right now, I go to Mississippi this time of year, I'm going crappie fishing. And there's a bunch of places you can go. Washington's really good right now. Enid, Sardis, but Grenada's so hard to beat for those big giant crappie, the fish of a lifetime. They're really getting up around shallow cover. You can catch them single poling with a piece of plastic right now. It's a really, really cool trip. Lots of good guides there, and it's not hard to go do yourself. In Alabama, I'm gonna go Smith Lake just because I love to catch those big spots. Lay Lake would be a close second right now. It's fishing really, really good. I don't know, there's so much going on. Like I'm on Kentucky Lake here today, and you can catch them flipping a jig, flipping plastic. Just a lot of fun. A lot of ways to catch them. The bluegill, everything's around the bank right now. So that's where you want to concentrate your time. But here's what I'm gonna tell you. Get out here, go look around. You won't have trouble finding some fish to catch. We'd love to see you here. God bless.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Motorguide Tour Pro, cable steer motor with GPS anchor. Waypoint Marine, the Gulf Coast's leading saltwater boating specialist. Strike King, Taiwan On, and by Low Boats. Welcome to Low Country.
What a big old giant crappie that is. Oh man, that is so fun. I see him, there he is, I'm gonna get a bite. Got him. Saw him on the graph, swam up there and ate a big one. That's a big one. Come in my boat, there we go. Wow, that is so cool. Sight fishing for crappie on Dirks Lake, Arkansas. Well, you know, folks just would not believe how many crappie there are literally just swimming around out here in open water. As you can see behind me, we're not up around any brush, trees, timber, rocks, stumps, pole trees, shoreline, grass, nothing. There is nothing to hold these fish except bait. So they're just swimming around out here following the bait. Occasionally there'll be one pole or one stump of a tree, one trunk standing up and they'll kind of mill around that, but for the most part, these fish are just wandering around out here in deep water. And really the depth of the water doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're in 20 feet or 80 feet of water, they're doing the same thing. They're not on the bottom. Bottom matters none. So you're actually looking at about the top 20 feet of the water column and just watching to see where those fish are. I'm literally just scanning back and forth, and I'm pitching that jig out there in front of them and swimming it down and lifting it up through them. And man, these are aggressive fish out here. One cool thing, fish that aren't on cover are usually much more aggressive than the ones that are up around that brush, because they get beat on by a lot of boats and a lot of fishermen a lot. They get a lot of pressure. That fish right there, he hasn't seen very many lures in his lifetime. He's going in the live well though.
Well, fishing's great along the southeast coast, and it's safe to be here. I'll have all the fishing details, but first this from our good friends at MirrOlure. MirrOlure, building quality saltwater lures since 1937, including the new line of Myrdine plugs. Turn on the bite anytime, tie on a MirrOlure. Well, Captain Greg Hilders tells me out of St. Simon's Island, Georgia, that the whiting fishing is just red hot all along the southeast coast there. He's catching these fish around the sounds that go out into the Atlantic Ocean. It's calm water. Also from the beaches, most of these whiting are in the 1 pound class. Captain Hilders also says that trout are starting to hit in the Clearwater creeks. He's using live shrimp with float rigs. Lots of redfish are also being caught around the shell bars, and some sheepshead too around the same areas. Triple tail fishing along the coast there is starting to turn on. It's all sight fishing using shrimp with popping corks on the surface, or you can also catch these fish sight fishing with streamer flies. Small bonefish and redfish flies are great. Over in Alabama, Captain Patrick Garmison says Lower Mobile Bay has been very good for trout, but it's all daybreak fishing using topwater plugs. Mississippi has good fishing for white trout and redfish and black drum, and they're catching plenty of Spanish mackerel on the Gulf side of the Barrier Islands using trolled drone spoons. Well, that's it for the southeast coast. Get out in the water and take a youngster with you when you go.
There he comes. I can see him. I can see him following my bait. Got him. Can you believe that? Here he comes. Big one, big one, big one. It's the biggest one yet. Golly, can you believe that? We showed that on that graph. You saw that fish come away from the other little school he was in and whack it. What a big old giant crappie that is. Oh man, that is so fun. This is really a fun way to catch them. I'll tell you, Dirks Lake is it's a cool place. I've never been here before, but it's, number one, it's loaded with these big old crappie. These guys that I talked to, Chance and Dustin, the guy that guides here and some of these other lakes I told you about, they catch them all the time, and this is just pretty much an average fish for this lake. It's one of the best kept secrets in the Southwest, and particularly here in Arkansas. And I see these guys at the fish cleaning station cleaning their limit all the time. So it's a really cool place. It's not a big place. It won't take a lot of pressure. We were here on a Sunday yesterday, and the place was covered up with boats, so it's not really a secret by any stretch. This one, Gillum, DeQueen, and then Greason. 4 lakes that are just pretty much lined up across here, and they're all excellent, excellent crappie lakes. If you've never been to one of these lakes, you might want to give it a shot. We'll give you Dustin Holmes' contact information here in just a little bit. We're compiling a pretty good mess of them in the live well. This one goes and joins the rest of his baits.
Watch our latest episode or catch up on past episodes on our website at letsfishtv.com. Be sure to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter for new fishing videos every day. And download the free Waypoint TV app to get all the latest episodes every week on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Bobby Garland Crappie Baits and the original Baby Shad and new Slab Huntar Minnow. Glacier Glove. Stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades. Balls Out. Made in the USA. Heavy-duty mounts for your fish finders. And by Caymas Boats. Tomorrow's tournament boat today.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get right to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Gus wants to know, what is your go-to bait when nothing else is working and why? For an answer, we asked Bassmaster Elite Angler Todd Otten.
I'd have to say it'd be a chatterbait. You know, that's probably one of the best baits I've had to make the most money on, and the reason why is it's a confidence thing. It's, you know, I've caught a ton of fish on that bait, and I can cover water. I don't know. I would have to say that bait is just a confidence bait. I know I'm going to catch some fish on it, and they're going to be good-sized fish.
Thank you, Todd. If you want some help from one of the pros, simply go to letsfishtv.com and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit a question. Now it's time to find out who wins this week's Big Catch of the Week.
We are back at the boat ramp at Dirks Lake, Arkansas, and it's time right now for this week's winner in the Big Catch of the Week contest. She's Liz Sanith of Lexington, South Carolina, with a 27.19-pound striped bass caught at Lake Murray, South Carolina. If you'd like to have a chance to be our next winner, just go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/letsfishtv. Go to our last Tuesday's post, it's about the Big Catch of the Week, and post your photo there along with all the details about your catch. I did mention earlier that you do need some specialized gear if you want to sight fish these crappie like we did on this week's show. Of course, you need the Lowrance LiveSight transducer to attach to your HDS system. But in addition to that, I like the Lew's Wally Marshall Speed Shooter rod. It's actually made for shooting docks, but I've adopted it for my all-around crappie use. Now the line on this setup is critical as well. I like braided line, about 6 or 8 pound test braid, because I like to see where my line's entering the water and how far it is away from that transducer at all times. But for this clear water, I've got to use fluorocarbon leader. So I tied about 6 feet fluorocarbon leader 6 pound test to that braid. The two baits that we use to catch these big crappie on this week's show, on the left, the Bobby Garland Slab Huntar. It's a great swimming bait to swim through those schools. They got a little finicky later on in the day, and on your right, I had to go to the Bobby Garland Slab Slayer. That's a tested, tried and true bait, and that darker color seemed to do pretty well on this dark day. Does the name Curly Neal ring a bell with you at all? Curly Neal was a basketball player for the Harlem Globetrotters from 1963 to 1985, and he passed away this year at the age of 77. He played over 6,000 games for the Globetrotters. Who could forget his antics, his passing the ball, his magic dribbling, his half-court shots, and yes, even that stunt where he throws the pail of water on the crowd and it turns out to be confetti. Well, I don't really have a big point in all of this except to recognize the accomplishments and the career of Curly Neal. He made a big impression on a young teen, me, growing up in the 60s. I've got a lot of warm memories of watching the wide world of sports and Curly Neal on the Harlem Globetrotters, and I remember it well more than 50 years later. Before we get out of here this week, I did want to show you just a few of the crappie that we caught on this week's episode. These are all good sized slabs, and we caught big one after big one this week. This is just a few of the live well that I've got in there. We're going to take some home for a fish fry. If you would like, come book a trip here at Dirks or any of the other lakes here in southwest Arkansas, including Lake Greason, you can contact Dustin Holmes. Contact information you see on your screen. He'll put you on them, fillet them up. You can take them home for your very own fish fry. From Dirks Lake, Arkansas, until next week, let's fish, everybody. I'm Barry Stokes saying be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you want to see more fishing tips, how-to videos, big fish catches, and full episodes of our Let's Fish TV show, be sure to subscribe right here to our YouTube channel. You can also like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Good fishing out there.